Okay, so what's a pilot project in California legislation? Well, in California, like most other states, the legislature that is, occasionally establishes a pilot program, which is basically a study or a temporary program established by statute and usually has a sunset date and again, a required study. The idea behind a pilot program and legislation establishing one is basically to give a public policy proposal a try and see if it works or doesn't work. And as part of this effort, there's usually a requirement to collect data and to determine whether the temporarily adopted program is meeting the desired expectations or the goals and objectives of the program. In some instances, a pilot program has a requirement of a formal study, perhaps even being done by an independent third party, collecting the data, evaluating it, providing a report to the legislature. There might even be some level of oversight to ensure that the program is being run or utilized as intended so that a proper evaluation can be made. So as a result, a pilot project is basically a short-term statutory program used to evaluate perhaps an entirely new or innovative program or operation. And at the conclusion of the pilot program, the report is usually required to be presented to the legislature in order for our elected officials to determine, whether the project met the expectations, the goals and objectives established. And if so, should the sunset date be extended, or perhaps the program should be made permanent? What might this evaluation look like? It's probably best in legislation when a pilot project is established with stated goals and objectives that the pilot project is intended to achieve, with a specification of the reasons for the project and perhaps why this particular approach was taken, why it's chosen as the approach. And then, of course, costs associated with administering and complying with the program would also be reviewed. There are numerous examples of California bills pending today, as well as existing statutes of pilot programs. Basically, what you're looking for in the language is that the state or a local government will administer a pilot project with a specified goal, a commencement date, an ending date, and general information about the pilot project, how it's going to operate, what it is intended to achieve. In terms of the study, perhaps the department overseeing it, or even an independent third party like a research-based institution, might look at the different outcome measurements and do the study. And these measurements will hopefully inform an evaluation report that, again, is then in turn provided to the legislature after the conclusion of the pilot program, or perhaps before the pilot program expires under the law. And so that report should really include, all the sort of specified information to properly evaluate it. And then the third aspect of a pilot project is the sunset. Generally, it'll either become inoperative or it shall be repealed, absent some sort of action by the legislature to either extend the life or make it permanent.